What is up, Ravens flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell. Almost forgot my name there. Along with my co-host, Glenn Martin. And I'm so excited. You guys can see the title. I'm so excited about the conversation we're about to have in this video. Talk about the Baltimore Ravens offense. But before we get into all of this, subjects of which I'm very passionate about and Glenn is as well, take a second, hit the subscribe button. Of course, leave all your comments below, turn on your notifications. We will keep you up to date with all your Ravens news. And give us a like if you're enjoying the content. But be sure to hit that subscribe button. But Glenn, tee this conversation up because I think this was a brilliant idea that you had. So I'm really excited to break it down. So tell us what we're talking about.
Yeah, well, we know that the NFL is very much a trends league. And typically when you see one team kind of come up with something new or at least different at the time and it have success, then we see it kind of spawn many different imitators around the league and they try and kind of copy the success of one. And the Ravens were very openly criticized for kind of bucking the trend and going a little bit opposite, or not a little bit, going very opposite of what every other team was going for, which was high, expensive wide receivers and a spread them out passing game that can lead to chunk plays and quick scores. And the Ravens said, we're going to go with the run game. And they get a lot of criticism. Still to this day, they get tons of criticism. But I start to see some things that are going on in the league and start to see some statistics and some trends. And it's awfully interesting, Jimbo, because starting to see that the one answer for a lot of teams' issues isn't a lack of weapons, Jimbo. It isn't because they don't have enough skill position talent. It's they don't have the run game, Jimbo. So let me just take you on a little journey. I look at Tom Brady, the GOAT, right? The greatest of all time. No
Bring us
doubt
along,
about it.
Glenn.
Even the haters have to admit that he's the GOAT, right? And I don't think there's anyone who can say that they don't have enough weaponry in Tampa with the guys that they have in Mike Evans and, of course, Chris Godwin and others, Scotty Miller. But they've been struggling a lot, Jimbo, until this last couple games, specifically the last game that they had in Germany, where the run game was the thing that they leaned on and ignited, and the play-action pass game. So running and play-action pass off of that run game with the dual-headed threat of Fournette and Rachaad White. Then I look around and I see back-to-back MVP. Aaron Rodgers is on a 5-game losing streak, Jim.
Unheard of.
They can't win a game, right? They cannot win a game. And then last week they finally they get a W. They snap this five-game losing streak. And how do they do it, Jimbo? They do it by riding their big, strong running back room for 207 yards on the ground and use that to set up their passing game. And I see the Buffalo Bills. I see how they're struggling. They can't get the ball out of their own end zone after taking over from the one. They fumble it, giving the game away. And I say, man, it'd be awfully nice if they had a run game that could have gotten them out of their end zone, or if they had a run game, they could have finished those two drives that ended up in interceptions in the end zone from Josh Allen in the fourth quarter. And I see all these, and then I see a stat here. Running backs, 4.5 yards per carry on the season this year.
League-wide.
This is the highest in NFL history. And then I see 11 yards per completion on the season. Lowest since 1933, Jimbo. So it got me thinking, are the Ravens now the new trend-setting team as we now see all these teams around the league turning to their running back saying, please, we need you to carry the team. We need you to be the primary source of our attack and to play action and throw off of a successful run attack. Jimbo, am I crazy to think the Ravens are now going to be the trendsetter?
No, Glenn, I agree with you 100%, and I think this is something that you and I have kind of been beating the door on as far as the idea that the way offenses win is by having this elite group of wide receivers and, having the dog and, the X, right? This is the argument. If any of you guys watch I Am Athlete, like who's the X, Ocho Cinco or Brandon Marshall, like all these things, everyone is enamored with the big, fast, strong, the high catch radius or the large catch radius wide receiver, all these things, which are important. But at the end of the day, what you're saying really resonates with me, and I think a lot of other people, in that the buck stops and ends with, if anyone remember John Harbaugh's opening presser, he said, we're going to run the football and we're going to stop the run.
That's how you start.
And 100%, right? So for me, I don't think you're crazy. Absolutely, I think you're headed down the right path, and I hope that. So this is also really interesting to me because, like you said, the statistics league wide bear the truth, right? Like what you're stating in both areas, both the run and the pass. In the pass being low and the run being incredibly high, it's because what the Ravens have done is everyone's, in 2019, team zig, we zag, right? So defenses start to mold to a heavy pass game. You have smaller wide or linebackers. You have these faster guys that are almost like hybrid safeties and things like that. They move sideline to sideline. But guess what, Glenn? Those guys don't like getting hit in the mouth by Gus Edwards 18 times a game. And so all these things change, and the Ravens say, all right, we're going to take advantage of these things, right? So it makes me think of a famous line by a really smart guy, Michael G. Scott, right? After he sold the Michael Scott Paper Company back, right? He says, oh, how the turntables, right? Like,
That's right.
It's so funny how it just flips around on its head 180.
And you look at last night. Look at last night, Jimbo. The Commanders upset the undefeated Eagles. Well, how did they do it? Well, they had 40 minutes and some change of time of possession to the 19 minutes that the Eagles had. And how'd they do that, Jimbo? Well, they had a season high 49 carries, had a 46.9 success rate on those carries, while the Eagles' run defense, remember, they're a pass rushing team, right? They're built to play from a lead. They're built to attack a passing team. Well, their run defense has been a weakness this year, and they recorded their fourth lowest defensive success rate against the run, 52%. Jimbo, this is a league-wide thing, and I just think it's it's just amazing when you watch and you kind of see how all these other teams are now struggling. And I love what Dan Orlovsky pointed out. He said there's a lot of ways where in which you can stop and slow down a passing attack. There's so many different schemes you can throw to try and confuse opposing offenses. When you draft a team to have fast guys, like you said, small nickel corners who are designed to cover, not to come up and support the run, linebackers who are designed for sideline to sideline, not to come up and take on guards and shed and all that. No. So when you build your team one way, you're not ready to face a team like the Ravens who built it the exact opposite way, and you don't have this magical scheme, because the scheme is simply this. It's physicality, Jimbo.
Yeah, well, that's what I love about it.
Then you're in trouble.
That's the best part about it is that I will argue about this with anyone till the cows come home. This offense, you're talking about the characteristics that they have, the identity that they have is physicality, quite and simple. And it is the most sustainable type of offense, because this is why. You can know exactly what is going to happen. Exactly what is going to happen. But guess what? If you don't have, just like you said, the personnel to do something about it, it means nothing. Right? Like if you have, the Ravens have, they kept talking about it in the New Orleans game, how big and athletic this line is. And if this line is this big and athletic and you simply don't have the horses to get it done, then you can't get it done, right? You can be in the right place at the right time, but if you're down 60 pounds and you got Morgan Moses coming at you,
what are you going to do?
Good luck, right? If your linebacker is 50 pounds lighter than Gus Edwards, who's 250 pounds, good luck. It's really, there's only so much you can do. And so I hope that Ravens fans, because I'll say this, Glenn, I do feel like Ravens fans obviously have an axe to grind with the lack of emphasis on the wide receiver position and stuff like that. And I feel like there are a group of people that feel very passionate on the other side of it, that we should be investing more in the wide receivers and things like that. Take a look at the statistics, see what bears out. And this doesn't mean wide receivers don't matter.
Of course
right?
not.
No, absolutely. But just like Orlovsky said, there's a ton of ways to stop, to like slow down a passing attack. There's also a ton of ways to win a football game. Right? And this seems to be a very sustainable way for the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm looking forward to it, man. I love that you highlighted the statistics behind this, and I think they're simply bearing themselves out. And to answer the question, like, absolutely yes. You better believe that teams, other OCs, are taking a look at what Greg Roman does.
Hey, look what the Bears are doing.
Right. 100%. And I mean, even the Eagles to a certain extent, I'm not saying it's a 1-for-1, but you don't think they pull from what Lamar Jackson and Greg Roman have been able to do? You'd be crazy not to say that.
Absolutely. I mean, the Niners, another team. I mean,
Yep.
Jimmy G, how crazy is this? Talk about leaning on your run game, Jimbo. Jimmy G is now 10-2 in games he has 0 touchdown passes. Is that not the most mind-blowing stat? I mean, that just shows you that you can win the game without having an explosive, intricate passing scheme.
And
if
not only
you
that,
have a great run game. And
that's
they
the
do.
thing. Not only that, now teams, like you said, the trend is behind the Ravens being the blueprint is that there's more emphasis on the run attack, right? I mean, there's proof is in the pudding. You talked about the Niners, but look on the other side of that team that used to be in the Bay Area is now in Vegas, right? Like they have arguably the best wide receiver in the league, and their stall wide receiver is really good. I mean, look at the Bengals. They've had struggles running the ball this year, but everyone touts their younger wide receivers. And I know Jamar Chase was hurt, but they had their struggles even when he was healthy.
Yep.
Right? Like there's a lot of teams that got guys on the outside, but if you don't have the hogs up front and the scheme and the emphasis on the run attack, it's going to be, I believe it's going to be a long season. So I think the statistics are bearing it out. It's really interesting to see what the folks are going to say. I know exactly how the comments are going to come in, Glenn. They're going to be on this side or this side. I think there will be very few in the middle.
Yeah.
Right? That's generally how it goes. But the only thing I would beg all of you to do is simply check the stats.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's it. That's all we can do. But let us know what you guys think. Are the Ravens the new trend-setting offense in the league?
Better believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. And are you excited about this team moving forward down the stretch? Let us know what you guys think in the comments below, and we'll talk soon. See you.